What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to GmiasWorld Podcast, and we're going to be talking Week 10 Thursday Night Football, the Chargers and the Raiders. Now, the number one thing that people are going to go ahead and say is that, possibly Phillip Rivers is, maybe he's having too many children. He doesn't have any testosterone left. He's throwing picks continuously. He threw 2 picks to the same guy, but he threw 3 total. Is he washed up? Okay, what's going on exactly with him? I can't really blame him completely for everything that went on. We are going to talk about Josh Jacobs. We're going to talk about John Gruden. We're going to talk about Derek Carr. Initially, I don't think anybody felt like the Raiders would be doing what they're doing right now. Obviously, they're 5-4. Nobody kind of saw it coming, especially with the way that John Gruden got a lot of negativity getting rid of Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack, and it's looking like it might work out for the Raiders. Okay, now when I say might, if they continue to play this hard and the dudes come out and they compete like this, you're going to have to go ahead and give John Gruden some credit. Because if we're so fast to go ahead and dish out, crazy, wild, savage rants about him with the things that he was doing, we're going to have to go ahead and turn around and just say, look, the guy deserves some credit because, like I said, I thought the Chargers had to win this game in order to have a really, really decent way to come back towards the end of the season and see if they can make a run to the playoffs, which everybody thought that they would be going. But it's a lot of injuries. Phillip Rivers was playing without, a few old linemen. There were a lot of things going on. Melvin Gordon, it's he had one of his best games of the season, but again, they still lose the game. So it's like, what is this guy doing? The way that the chemistries are working, it just really looks like the Chargers are probably in the long run, it looks like they're going to have to move on from Phillip Rivers. Okay, it's very, very hard to replace a quarterback, though, as we all know in this league. I don't think Miami had a good quarterback since Dan Marino, so it's very, very difficult to just say, you know what, this guy's washed. He has 19 kids. He needs to go home and chill with his family. It's not if you don't have anybody blocking for you, and this is what I always bring up, people that don't really pay attention to the certain positions and how important old linemen are, they're quick to say that the guy is washed, he sucked. Now, he does have a wild throwing motion, and nobody knows what he's doing when he's throwing the ball. I don't think he knows what he's doing, but it doesn't really matter. He still throws the ball pretty decently, except for, last night, which was, I think that's the last time that they're going to be able to play in the Coliseum, as far as the Chargers go. So they, shout out to the Raider fans that was able to see that, because as we get into Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr, and the way that the team is playing right now, it was a very, very exciting and exhilarating game as Josh Jacobs gave them the lead with 1 minute and 2 seconds left. Obviously, ultimately, Phillip Rivers throws another pick, but it was a very, very exciting game. I enjoyed thoroughly being able to see that the Raiders were able to, win a game that they had, a close-knit game where they fought and they played well. The Chargers themselves, though, okay, I don't know exactly what's going to happen for the rest of the season. All I know is that Phillip Rivers is going to be a lot of questions being thrown out because all of his highlights was him looking like he was actually taking a dump as he was throwing the ball. It's weird. He could throw the ball like that when he's winning, but when you're not winning and you're throwing the ball like that, people are going to look at it like, is this guy serious? Is he really an NFL quarterback? Because that's the first thing that I look at. When you look at the highlights of this game, that's what you start to pay attention to. What is this? Has he been getting away with this for the entire his entire career? Now, we know what happened with the flip-flop with he and Eli Manning. Eli Manning ended up in New York. He goes over there. He had those years where they were supposed to win, but the Patriots beat them. LaDainian Tomlinson on the sideline, standing there in the rain. A lot of Charger fans remember all these things that they've been through because realistically, Phillip Rivers should have at least won Super Bowl, realistically, but he has none. So there really isn't anything to hold on to with him. If you start to look at it the way that people are starting to look at Cam, who possibly will be done in Carolina. Cam has won, he's done a lot for that franchise, but he went to the Super Bowl. He was the MVP, but he's only remembered for not jumping in the pile. You see what I'm saying? People don't really, if you don't have a ring to fall back on, everybody pretty much just looks at you like a regular guy. All right, so Phillip Rivers, you played 1,000 years. You threw the ball I don't know what you were doing. And that's all you did. You didn't really do anything else. It's very, very unfortunate because me personally, I do like the way that he's been able to survive in the league. And when I say survive, I'm not saying he was garbage. The dude played pretty well. He had some, pretty good seasons, threw for, 4,000 yards, things like that. He's done stuff that other quarterbacks haven't done. It's just that right now, with everything being so bad, everybody's looking for the most negative thing. But again, when you don't have 2 linemen And it's another thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady goes through, a lot of games where, people are, out, things are going on, and he still wins. And people always expect him to do it. Then he gets dominated, and then it's like immediately, oh, bro, this guy's washed. But you still need certain players to win. You know what I'm saying? It is 11 on 11. It's not just, the one guy. So, again, with the way that the pressure was getting to him last night, we can't really go too crazy. I don't think at this point, where are they, like 4-6? I don't think that they're going to have a shot right now to be able to make the playoffs, especially if the Raiders keep winning. It's going to really, drastically hurt their chances. But I do like the fact that we're going to jump to the Raiders now. And I want to talk about Josh Jacobs in particular, because coming out of college, everybody that I would talk to about him, he's a power back. People compared him to Leonard Fournette. He's going to be trucking dudes and stuff like that. When I first saw him play, I thought he was an elusive type of back. I thought he was really, really quick. I thought he moved well. I didn't really see, he has the power, but he looks like he's more of an elusive type of back that you can't get your hands on when he's making plays. That's what I see. Okay, now, whatever you guys want to call him, however you want to call it, the way that he's able to slither through the holes and do the things that he does, I don't consider that a power back. And this kid is very, very exciting to watch. I just want to, be very, very clear with that. After I saw him a couple games, I'm like, wow, this dude is pretty good. You saw that they showed through 9 games that he had topped Marcus Allen, in Raiders franchise history, and everybody's wondering, how is he doing that? Let's pay attention to what John Gruden did, though. John Gruden gave this young man, an opportunity with a formulated offense, with a better O-line to be able to make plays. They don't get credit. And also yesterday, they were getting pressure and getting sacks now. So with everything that went on with the Khalil Mack thing, it looks like now people are going to have to backtrack a little bit and kind of figure out what was he doing. As far as the wide receiver, they're still working on that. Amari Cooper was a guy that, if anything, I would have kept him. If I'm John Gruden, I'm going to keep Amari Cooper. I can understand getting rid of Khalil Mack money-wise, because when you're trying to build a team, if you can get other pieces, I'm not saying that Khalil Mack is replaceable. He wasn't immediately. But the money he was asking for and what you could have gotten for getting rid of him, I think that based on the thought process of what he was saying was like, some games this man doesn't show up. Some games he's dominant. Overall, he is a good defensive player. We can see with the Bears now. I don't know where he's at. So, again, I would have kept Amari Cooper. I would have probably not paid Khalil Mack at that time as well. And some of you guys are going to disagree, whatever, but it's a financial situation because you have to make sure that the players that you're building with, everybody can work. You can't just have one really good player and everybody else sucks. And then you're like, all right, let's go to work. You got to try to put together something that works, which is what makes the Patriots work. A lot of no-name players that just try to do the same exact thing, they're after the same exact goal. So they just play their role, and that's pretty much what it is. And I was able to see that defense yesterday get enormous pressure. And like I said, granted, the O-line is missing key players, but they still were able to make plays, most of the time rushing 4. So that's also a huge thing going forward with the Raiders. And then finally, Derek Carr. Listen, I'm always going wild on him. I saw him last season look a defender in the face and throw the ball right to him. I've seen that man play really ridiculous. I've seen him play almost like the MVP without, before he got injured. I've seen a lot of Derek Carr, okay? He's playing better right now because during the offseason, you remember all that talk that John Gruden probably doesn't want him, he doesn't trust him, he's probably going to go back into the draft. It looks like their relationship got a little bit better, especially after what happened with Antonio Brown. It looks like they drew themselves closer together and tried to figure out how they're going to make this thing work. And ultimately, it looks like it may work out. If you kind of, pay attention to what's going on, if they're able to play like this, I think he will be able to get out. I think he's far out of the doghouse. I think at one point he was in the doghouse with John Gruden, but now with the way he's been playing, I like his odds of being that starter going forward. So it's a lot of good things if you're a Raider fan. You guys been through so much. You guys kind of deserve this to see what's going on with the playoff situation. Do I think you guys are going to make the playoffs? It's pretty tough. I could say that the Chargers probably won't. So, we can see how that works out. But, again, it was a very, very good win for the last time that the Chargers are going to be in the Coliseum. And you guys need to enjoy every single day that you have before you guys move, man. Vegas is coming very, very soon. So shout out to you Raider fans, man. You deserve it. I think Phillip Rivers, I don't want to say he's washed yet. Let me know what your opinions are about it. You can always download these podcasts on the go. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, GmiasWorld Podcast. I'm going to see you guys and girls next time. You have a good one. One love, y'all.